I'm Fumi, and it is really great to be with you guys today. We're posting on a Friday. Call it a Fumi Friday, a Fumi Fantasy Friday, and also happy belated-ish, late to it New Year. I will tell you a secret just between you and me because you're watching right now and that's kind of awesome, but I do maybe just a little bit want to post more consistently this year. I know I posted this kind of little over dramatic, I will admit, an unfinished thought. I have mixed feelings about New Year's resolutions, but it is kind of a New Year's resolution or a goal in this season of life to get more consistent posting on YouTube. And Fumi Fridays may just become a thing. Fumi Fantasy Fridays? Fantasy Fridays, Fumi Bean Fridays. I don't know. I am trying to have a certain balance between expectations and structure and giving myself space to fail, but also trying to hold myself a little more accountable. Sometimes when I come up with a super concrete goal and then the expectations become so high, it becomes so overwhelming that I just don't want to do it anymore, especially if someone else tells me to do it. So I'm treading expectations carefully. This actually is a secret between you and me. Don't tell anyone. I'm trying to post on Fridays. Anywho, this has been a really long intro. If you're new here, intros don't usually go this long, but I'm not gonna make a separate video to let you in on this. It's just not how things roll. Anyways, welcome to a Write With Me session. This is a session where I write about my webtoon called Wanted Mischief Siblings from Another World. It is an isekai webtoon. What does that mean? Well, isekai, I think, literally translates in Japanese to a new world. If you have a more Western influence, think Narnia. It's the concept of anyone either getting summoned, dying, and reincarnating into a fantasy world with the memories of their previous world. And it creates this very fun dynamic. And really, this is my fantasy as a kid. Being able to, without the dying, but being able to suddenly be transported into a fantasy world, leaving everything behind, no worries, fresh start, with magical powers. What a dream. And I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon, but I know I can live in a different fantasy world in which I could dream that up and think about what that would look like for all my original characters. But if you would love to know more about my webtoon, I have some playlists, I have some videos out there that give you a little bit more context, which I would love for you to take a look at. As for this Write With Me session, it is the last and final part of what was an hour-long session that we ended up breaking into parts. So if you are just coming into this, sorry to say, but you may have to walk on back to the previous parts. There will be a playlist available for you. I think the playlist lives right here. So this playlist right here, tappity tap. It does say thank you ChatGPT, and that may be a little bit scandalous, but it helps me with my structure. Anywho, let's stop stalling. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment down below any of your fun thoughts. Even if you have no thoughts, comment. If you hated the video, like it, because I'm all about that reverse psychology, and click the notification bell to see more videos like this. Oh, so YouTuber of me. Anyways, let's get to it. So we're gonna write a note here and just get going. The fairy queen and the rest of her kin have a mixed tension with Orath after the death of each. Both of them blame each other and themselves for not having protected her that night. The queen, having seen the darkness, King Septus is convinced that he was behind it, that he orchestrated the event. However, Orath denies his having anything to do with it. Fairy Queen thinks Orath a coward, looking away and not seeking justice. Years go by, and Orath has banned himself from entering the enchanted forest. He merely lives at border. This is a good start. I think there may not be enough information, but we'll just go with it here. The aftermath of Adriel's tragic death cast a long and sorrowful shadow over both the enchanted forest and the heart of her beloved Orath. The fairy queen and her kin harbored mixed emotions, a turbulent blend of grief, anger, and blame that strained their once harmonious relationship with Oreth. The fairy queen, wise and perceptive, saw darkness in King Septus and believed that he orchestrated the event leading to Idril's demise. Despite Oreth's vehement denials of the king's involvement, the queen remained convinced that Septus's machinations played a role in the tragedy. She could not fathom how such an atrocity could occur without some grand, sinister design behind it. Oreth, burdened by guilt and sorrow, struggled with his own sense of responsibility. He had killed the man who murdered Idril, avenging her death, but it brought him no solace. The queen's harsh judgment, calling him a coward for not seeking further justice, cut deep. She believed that his reluctance to confront King Septus directly was a betrayal of Idril's memory. Oreth, however, was torn between his loyalty to his king and his love for Idril, a conflict that left him paralyzed and grief-stricken. Unable to bear the weight of their collective sorrow and accusations, Oreth made a solemn decision. He exiled himself from the Enchanted Forest, the place that had once been a sanctuary of love and magic. Instead, he took up residence at its border, living in self-imposed exile. There, he spent his days in a state of perpetual mourning, a solitary figure haunted by memories and regrets. Years passed, and Oreth's life became a monotonous cycle of grief and self-recrimination. He refused to cross the threshold into the Enchanted Forest, feeling unworthy of its magic and protection. The Fairy Queen, despite her anger, also grieved for Idril and the loss of the harmony that once existed. She watched Oreth from afar, her heart heavy with the shared burden of their loss. Oreth's isolation became a testament to his enduring love for Idril and his unending sorrow. He lived on the border of the Enchanted Forest, a living reminder of the tragic events that had shattered their lives. In his solitude, he hoped that one day the wounds would heal and he could find a way to honor Idril's memory beyond his grief.
I think I need to give ChatGPT a little bit more information. Heister is a man who is a slave trader who has a history with Idril. Heard of a fae-like woman with mystical charm that no black market. What are they called? Black market. Not headhunter, but black market slave driver. Many failed to capture. He was set on taking her and selling her to the highest bidder of Soledad Royals. Has incredibly high resistance to mind control and easily bypassed Idril's bard abilities. Much later, he is hired by King Septus and given the information. Harvest Moon, the one night that the Fae, that enchanted forest, would be dormant. He also swore an oath of life and loyalty, being given power of what is a specific power that would help him evade. I'm thinking like a shadow movement power, given the power of. The problem is that King Septus is not very developed either, so when we talk about his powers and his special abilities, it's hard to say. Let's just say concealment, giving him a way to escape Oreth should he come looking. Oreth soon Heister down. Oreth in a maddening, wrath-filled phase, let's just say that because I can't think of the word, soon hunted Heister down soon after Idril's death. Oreth did not sleep and used every ability and connection he had to kill Heister. Heister is a notorious a notoriously gifted slave trader, slave hunter. Please help me write about Heister. Okay, Heister's story.
Heister was a notoriously gifted slave hunter, infamous for his ability to track and capture even the most elusive prey. His talent was not only in his physical prowess and strategic cunning, but also in his extraordinary resistance to mind control, which made him nearly immune to enchantments and psychic manipulations. This unique ability brought him face to face with Idriel, a fae-like woman whose mystical charm and bardic powers had enabled her to evade countless would-be captors. Heister had long been fascinated by the tales of Idriel, whose beauty and enchanting abilities were legendary. Determined to capture her and sell her to the highest bidder among the Soledad royals, he embarked on a relentless pursuit. His resistance to her Fey Bard abilities allowed him to bypass her defenses easily, and he succeeded in capturing her, marking the beginning of a dark chapter in Idriel's life. Years later, Heister's path crossed with King Septus, a ruler with his own sinister designs. King Septus, recognizing Heister's talents and past successes, hired him for a crucial and malevolent mission. He provided Heister with crucial information about the harvest moon, the one night when the Fae of the enchanted forest would be dormant, their magical defenses weakened as they offered their mana to renew the forest's enchantments. Heister swore an oath of life and loyalty to King Septus, a binding pact that granted him the power of concealment. This magic ability allowed him to blend seamlessly into his surroundings, making him nearly impossible to detect. A perfect safeguard against any retaliation, particularly from Orith, Idriel's devoted husband. On that fateful night, Heister used the knowledge and powers given to him by King Septus to infiltrate the enchanted forest and take Idriel's life, fulfilling the dark mission set before him. However, the heinous act did not go unchallenged for long. Driven by an overwhelming wrath and grief, Orith entered a phase of maddened determination. He vowed to avenge Idriel's death, using every ounce of his strength, every connection, and every ability at his disposal to track down Heister. Orith's relentless pursuit left no stone unturned. He did not sleep, his life consumed by the singular goal of bringing Heister to justice. Despite Heister's power of concealment and his cunning, he could not escape Orith's wrath forever. Orith's unyielding dedication and formidable skills eventually led him to Heister. In a brutal confrontation, Orith exacted his vengeance, ending Heister's life and avenging the murder of his beloved Idriel. Heister's tale is one of talent twisted by malevolence, a hunter who became the hunted, a dark pawn in a king's ruthless game. His actions set off a chain of events that forever altered the lives of those connected to Idriel, leaving a legacy of sorrow and retribution.
I'd say this is good enough. Definitely more details that are needed, but this is good. Let's add Heister. The queen, having seen the darkness, is convinced that he or Orith's battle between him and he sees a glimpse. He detects that of his oath with King Septus, though he believes he was mistaken. King Septus, Idriel, both of them blame each other and themselves for not having protected her that harvest moon night. The queen, having seen the darkness of King Septus, is convinced that he orchestrated the event. However, Orith denies his having anything to do with it. Life and loyalty. Orith cannot reconcile that Septus would have any reason to kill Idriel. Her looking away, she believes him naive for not noticing King Septus's selfish feelings of ownership over. Okay, here's some more details. Let's plug that back in. Please help me write about the tension between the fairy queen and Orith. Let's see.
In the years following Idriel's tragic death, a profound and painful tension developed between the fairy queen and Orith. both held themselves and each other responsible for not protecting Adriel on that fateful harvest moon night. The Fairy Queen, wise and perceptive, had long seen the darkness within King Septus. She was convinced that he orchestrated the events leading to Adriel's death. Her suspicions were further fueled by the malevolence she had sensed around Septus, believing that he had selfishly manipulated events to suit his own ends. However, Oreth staunchly denied any involvement of King Septus. His unwavering loyalty and long-standing service to the king blinded him to the possibility that Septus could be capable of such treachery. During his furious battle with Heister, Oreth detected the lingering traces of an oath of life and loyalty sworn to King Septus. This discovery unsettled him, yet he dismissed it, believing it to be a mistake born of his grief and rage. The idea that Septus could betray him and orchestrate Adriel's murder was too unfathomable for Oreth to accept. The Fairy Queen, on the other hand, saw Oreth's refusal to confront King Septus as an act of cowardice. To her, it seemed that Oreth was choosing to look away from the obvious, driven by his naivety and misplaced loyalty. She believed that Oreth's failure to seek justice from Septus not only dishonored Adriel's memory, but also demonstrated his inability to see the truth of Septus's selfish feelings of ownership over him. The Queen's harsh judgment and Oreth's deep sense of guilt created an insurmountable rift. Oreth could not reconcile the idea that Septus, a man he had served faithfully for years, would have had any reason to kill Adriel. This denial and the constant blame from the Fairy Queen drove Oreth into a state of despair. Years passed, and the weight of his grief and unresolved tension with the Fairy Queen led Oreth to exile himself from the Enchanted Forest. He imposed a self-ban, unable to bear the reminders of what he had lost and the accusations that haunted him. Instead, he lived at the forest's border, a shadow of his former self consumed by sorrow and regret. The Enchanted Forest, once a place of love and magic for Oreth, became a distant memory, a sanctuary he could no longer enter. The tension between him and the Fairy Queen remained unresolved, a lingering reminder of the tragic events that tore their lives apart and the painful questions that might never be answered. Wow. This definitely makes writing so much faster, or just having an understanding of my story. This goes to... Okay, I think that's a really good stopping point for today's writing sessions. There's definitely more that I want to do, but I'm running out of battery on my camera and space on my laptop to record. So let's leave this for now. I love doing this, and hopefully people understand or can, I don't know. I don't know if this is a process that will make sense for those who watch, but I definitely enjoy making these videos, and I hope you guys will enjoy them also. Just writing things. I will see you guys in the near future. Bye. Hi guys, I hope you found this little writing with me session as productive and enjoyable as I did. Since these sessions can get a bit long, I've broken them up into parts, so be sure to check out the next one if you haven't already. Also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's session. Is there something you'd like to see more of in the future? Feel free to drop your comments below. Your feedback really helps me improve these writing sessions for everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming writing sessions. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!